When we talk about fonts, there are two general categories of fonts, and those are called serif and sans-serif. Serif fonts, as we see in the serif here, have these little edges on the end of them. As we see here with the B in Baskerville, with the P in Palantino, and the I, both at the bottom and the top. The same with Times here, and the same with Times New Roman, such as those little ticks at the end of the S. Sans-serif fonts, on the other hand, lack these serifs. So none of these fonts over here, each of these fonts is shown in its name. So this would be Futura font here, Helvetica font here, and none of them have those, and there's Tahoma font, none of them have those little serifs at the edges of the bottom or top of these letters. So those would be called sans-serifs. On maps, we commonly use both of these together, and these are some common fonts that we use often and often see on maps. In addition to fonts, we can vary the style and effect of letters on a map or labels on a map in a lot of different ways. We can use uppercase versus lowercase. We can vary the color, for example, making labels in the ocean blue. We can change things like bold and italic. We can do things like underline or strike through, or any combination of those things that we would, just in the same kind of manner that we could change fonts in a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. So when we're putting these fonts onto a map, what we want to do is have the fonts reinforce what we're trying to show on the map. So if we have one type of feature and we want, like, the states of the United States, and we want all those features to easily be able to be distinguishable, their labels to be distinguishable, we might have those all in the same font, the same typeface, the same all caps, however we want to do that. But we might want to contrast that with something else, for example, the name of cities. Of course, the hard part is to use different styles, maybe some serif, some sans-serif, different colors perhaps, different bold and italics and uppercase and lowercase, and all have it work together on a map. Here's an example of a map from the QGS map design book that does that. What we can see here is that they put in the names of the country, like Libya, in an all cap serif font, and they're also a little bit lighter gray. So they kind of blend into, even though they're large lettering, they kind of blend into the background a little with that lighter shading. And then the towns here are a separate, smaller font. They're no longer all caps, they just begin with a capital letter. And then the capital cities are much bolder, a larger font, and they're easy to distinguish, not just because there's a red star at each of these capitals, but because we can clearly distinguish where a capital city is and a city that's not a capital city just by the type of font used. And in some cases, it really helps the readability. We can tell which of these cities is the capital just by seeing where the large font is, and compared with where the point of the capital is. And then we can put these in any combination. Here we see changes in font with the type of body it is, like the water bodies are in blue here, the gulfs and the bays and the straits. Some things are in all caps, like the name Australia, as sort of a locator map here showing where this particular map area is. The national parks are in all caps as well, and so are some of the cities that are being underscored for this particular map. So we're actually changing a lot of variations in these fonts in order to help to tell the story of the map, which is done separately in this case.